Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a question that honestly keeps a lot of leaders up at night. Why do really smart, talented teams so often drop the ball? We're going to find the answer in Patrick Lencioni's classic, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, and really unpack the secrets to building a team that doesn't just survive, but actually wins. So, right off the bat, the book hits you with this really powerful idea that just cuts through all the busyness jargon. Lencioni's point is that while everyone's chasing the next big thing in tech or a killer new strategy, the one true sustainable competitive advantage isn't about what you have. It's all about how your people work together. And to make this really stick, Lencioni doesn't just give us a dry academic model. No, he tells a story, a fable, about this fictional company called Decision Tech. And it's this classic Silicon Valley tale, right? A startup that had literally everything going for it, but was just completely rotting from the inside out. And, you really got to understand the potential here. We're talking brilliant people, A-list investors, better tech than all their competitors. On paper, they looked absolutely unstoppable. They should have owned their market. But the reality? Oh, it was a total disaster. The leadership team was basically a viper pit of politics and backstabbing. The meetings were a joke, morale was circling the drain, and they were getting crushed by their competition. So the big question is, why? How does that happen? Now, you might think a collapse like this is just, bad luck. But here's the thing. Lencioni shows us it's not random at all. It's completely predictable. And if it's predictable, that means it's also fixable. And the key is this really simple but incredibly powerful model that shows us exactly where it all goes wrong. And this right here, this is the core of it. Decision Tech didn't have a talent problem or a strategy problem. It had a behavior problem. See, Lencioni's big insight is that building a great team isn't some complicated formula, but it is incredibly difficult. It's all about mastering a few key behaviors that are easy to talk about, but really, really hard to do day in and day out. Okay. So this is the tool he gives us to understand it all, the 5 dysfunctions pyramid. I want you to think of it just like building a house, right? Every single level has to rest on the one below it. So if your team is broken, you can't just jump in and try to fix the roof. You've got to go all the way down and fix the foundation first. All right, so let's dig into that foundation. The entire model, and really any successful team on the planet, is built on one single critical behavior. And without it, everything else we're going to talk about is pretty much impossible. Okay, so here it is. The most fundamental dysfunction, the very base of the pyramid, is an absence of trust. And we're not just talking about, I trust my coworker to get the report in on time. It's something much deeper and much more human than that. It all comes down to vulnerability. On a truly great team, people are comfortable being totally exposed. They can say things like, I messed up, or I need help, or I'm not sure what to do here, without that crippling fear that someone's going to use it against them. And you can literally feel the difference, can't you? A team that lacks trust is just tense. People are hiding their mistakes, they're afraid to ask for help, they hold grudges, and they absolutely dread meetings. But on a team with real trust, there's a sense of relief. People admit when they screw up, they ask for help, and apologies are quick and sincere. People actually want to work together. The book paints this perfect picture with a character named Martin, the CTO. He's this brilliant guy, but in every meeting, he'd have his laptop open, clacking away on emails. He was physically in the room, but he wasn't really there. And that sends a powerful message, doesn't it? It says, I don't trust you guys enough to give you my undivided attention. All right, so once you've laid that foundation of trust, you can actually fire up the team's engine. Now, these next 2 dysfunctions are totally intertwined. You can't have one without the other, and they are what drive a team from just talking to actually making decisions. And they are the fear of conflict, and the direct result of that, a lack of commitment. If your team is afraid of conflict, you will absolutely suffer from a lack of commitment. Let's break down exactly why that is. See, teams that don't trust each other are terrified of real, passionate debate. They're afraid that a disagreement about an idea will turn into a personal fight. So what do? They create what Lencioni calls artificial harmony. It's that fake, polite nodding in a meeting where nobody says what they're actually thinking. And that is so, so dangerous. But great teams, they do the exact opposite. They lean into what's called productive ideological conflict. They mine for it. They get every single opinion and perspective out on the table, even the uncomfortable ones. Because it's only after everybody has had their say that the team can get genuine buy-in and really truly commit to a decision. And here is such a key point. This is the secret sauce. Commitment is not about consensus. It's a myth that everyone has to agree 100%. What people need, what reasonable people need, is just to know that they've been heard, that their ideas and their concerns were genuinely considered. When people feel that, they can get behind a decision and help make it successful, even if it wasn't their original idea. Okay, so we've got trust, we've got healthy conflict, and we have real commitment. We're almost at the top of the pyramid. Now we get to the final two levels, which are like the glue that holds everything together and focuses the team on the one thing that really matters, getting results. And here they are, the avoidance of accountability. And right at the very peak of the pyramid, the ultimate dysfunction, inattention to results. This is where a team that had all the potential in the world can completely fall apart. Now, when we say accountability, we're not talking about the boss calling someone into their office. We're talking about peer-to-peer accountability. We're talking about the willingness of team members to call each other out on behaviors that hurt the team. But if the team hasn't truly committed to a decision, nobody's going to want to have that awkward conversation. It's just easier to look the other way.
And of course, if nobody is holding anyone accountable, what happens? You get the final, ultimate dysfunction. People naturally start to focus on things other than the collective goal. They focus on their own status, their own ego, their own department. The team's success becomes secondary. As long as they look good, it doesn't matter if the team is actually winning. Okay, so we've spent a lot of time on the negative, right? We've seen how a team can totally crumble. So let's flip it. Let's do a gut check. What does a really great, cohesive team actually look like in practice? Well, as Lencioni shows us, it's basically the positive inverse of everything we just talked about. So what does it look like when a team gets it right? Well, they trust one another enough to be vulnerable. That trust allows them to engage in passionate conflict around ideas. That conflict leads to real commitment to decisions. That commitment gives them the confidence to hold each other accountable. And all of that entire structure, drives them to focus on one thing and one thing only: achieving collective results. You see how it all stacks up? It's so simple, but man, it is not easy. So look, this model isn't just a theory in a book. It's a mirror. It forces you to look at your own team and be honest. So I'm going to leave you with this question to really think about. Starting at the absolute bottom of the pyramid, what is the one single thing you can do tomorrow to be a little more vulnerable and start building real trust? Because that's where everything begins.